You're not gonna make it. No, you ain't gonna make it. You're not gonna make it, but you can. Welcome to You're Not Gonna Make It, the show where I discuss threats that may prevent you from making it. I'm Kevin. I bet you know someone who doesn't exercise at all, and their reasoning is, I don't want to get too bulky. Now, I've never heard a man say this in my life. I'm sure they exist, but it's mostly women and I guess beginners who say this kind of shit. Now, if you take about 4 seconds, you can find out the issue with this statement. There are actually a few issues with this statement. And of course, bulky is referring to being very muscular. And when you put in those exact words, it sounds even sillier. I used to have a lot of female clients when I was doing in-person personal training who they wouldn't want to touch a barbell because they don't want to get too bulky. And that's ridiculous to me because I always make the comparison. That's like someone saying, oh, I don't want to touch this computer. I might accidentally hack the Pentagon. Like, what the fuck are you talking? Let me calm down. This doesn't make any sense. What this is implying is that you can accidentally become very muscular. Not only is this silly, but but it'll make all the people who are actually consistent want their heads to explode because they're over here working their ass off, trying to get stronger and bigger. And this other person saying, well, obviously it's really easy. You just touch weights and you become bulky overnight. That's not fucking true. It's not fucking true. If it were the case, would you not think that pretty much every man in the fucking world would be like Arnold Schwarzenegger in his prime at this point? If it were that fucking easy? Do you not think I would be like twice my width if that were the case? But you can't blame these people that much because marketing comes into play here. Of course, targeted at women yet again, telling them to not touch the weights, not touch that stuff because that requires actual knowledge of, body mechanics to do safely and correctly. Nah, you can just tell those you can just tell those bitches, buy a band. Do that fucking leg thing. Do that instead. Fuck them. That's the kind of mindset with that dissuading of touching actual weights. Now, why am I so keen on having women and beginners actually want to touch weights and resistance training? Well, not because I love bodybuilding. I do not. But you can, do resistance training without bodybuilding whatsoever or even powerlifting, anything. Just you need to add some load to whatever you're doing, whether that be, putting yourself in different positions so like gravity adds that load to you. But nonetheless, there are many ways you can get resistance training in, and I recommend it to everyone because for women, resistance training is how you get the body you actually want. As I mentioned many times before, all those women online who are showing their ass saying, oh yeah, train with me, blah, blah, blah. They lift heavy ass shit. They might not always show it, but they do. Either that or they waste, 4.5 hours doing like really wild, inefficient shit in a volume where it becomes halfway efficient. But by and large, a lot of these people, mostly women, they do exercise the way you're supposed to with a lot of resistance. Now, like I said, that's very hard to kind of get someone to do that safely and correctly without, a huge risk of them fucking up on their own. I think that plays a part in it. And it's also not as sexy in terms of marketing. Hey guys, so what you're going to do is you're going to get into the bar, make sure the barbell's directly in between your shoulders, lined up symmetrically. It's on the meat shelf. Between your traps and your shoulders, make sure your knees and your toes stay in line the whole time. Make sure you stick, all this kind of shit. That's not as effective at getting attention as, look at my fat fucking ass. Look at this band thing I'm doing. Whoa. The effectiveness of a product doesn't determine how much money it makes. The marketing is really what gets the sales in. Look at Apple. They charge premium prices for a walled off environment where they give you widgets like 15 years later. So I get it. A lot of people fall for it because the marketing is a certain way. But here's the thing. Most women, most people, they want to have not necessarily a humongous bodybuilder look, but a look of someone who's fit, who they obviously, they can exercise. They're not fat. They're not huge probably. But, They look in shape. Now, what happens is when a lot of women are scared of getting bulky is that they spend, or rather waste their time on cardio, eating less, and they just become, well, first of all, that doesn't often work because the majority of the United States is fat as hell. So what that does is make them super hungry, probably, and then they eat a bunch. But if they manage to control the intake, they're just going to be hungry and then weak. And they will never get the fat ass that they want. Now, I think you should exercise for a variety of reasons, but that I know that's kind of the main thing. And I know this from a lot of data I've had from talking to a lot of women. Oh, I just want to get my butt bigger, want to slim down my stomach, get bigger leg. I know. Okay? You want what you want. What I'm telling you is, if you do resistance training, I'm talking just literally squat, work up your planks into switching from high to low planks until you can do push-ups. And you can start off doing push-ups where your upper body is elevated upwards so it becomes easier for you. Work your way there. I would highly recommend that you also pull as well. A lot of women don't do that. A lot of men don't do that either. I'm talking pulling, doing pull-ups, doing rows, just pulling, whether it's vertically, horizontally. Now, I'm not a woman, but I used to have breasts because I was fat as fuck. When you're 5'7", and a teenager, 244 pounds, you got some tits, okay? Let me tell you something. Those aren't fun when you walk around, okay? If you don't exercise, those are not fun. So if you work your back, in addition to the rest of your body, your posture will increase and improve. It'll improve. Can your posture increase? It'll improve, and you will stand upright more easily because your back will have much more muscle to kind of just hold you up way more easily. And those big breasts you may or may not have will be supported because your back is supporting all of your body. I'm not saying if you have K cups or something that working out your back is going to solve all your problems, but I see there are a lot of women out there who they're overweight and they're like, oh, I'm just going to get a breast reduction because it's too much. Okay, first of all, you should lose weight first. Your breasts will reduce a bit in that way, usually. And then on the way there, you should also exercise so your back can support your body, your current overweight body, and then your newer, less overweight body. Then you can think about getting an expensive fucking surgery. I'm not a woman, so I can only imagine there's some women out there who got breast reduction and then they lost a lot of weight and they're like, damn, if I still had those huge ass breasts, I could rule the fucking world. That's what I would think if I were a woman anyway. Now, here's something that a lot of women and beginners don't know. This is more applicable to women, though. For women, as I was saying before, it's not easy to gain a lot of bulk. You need to put in a lot of work. You need to eat a lot of food. And it's going to take a long time to build that bulk you're talking about, which is a lot of muscle. Now, even if you were to do that, eat a lot, work out a lot, whatever, you're still not going to get bulky. You know why? You simply do not have enough testosterone to get fucking huge. It's as simple as that. There are men out there who inject testosterone to get bigger. What on earth makes you think you as a woman who have way less testosterone can even hope to accidentally get as big as those guys? That makes no sense. So you can rest easy. You cannot get bulky by accident. That's a good and a bad thing. It's a bad thing because you're going to have to... Whatever you do want to accomplish is still going to take forever. Even if you did want to get bulky, as in stronger, you would have to spend a lot of time doing that. So it's going to take a while. You're going to require a lot of patience to get where you want to get to. It's the bad news. The good news is that you have total control over your body. If you don't want to get too bulky, fine. Work your way up. You can stop or maintain at any point in your journey. It's very easy. Instead of increasing, once you hit a body type that you're into, just keep doing what you're doing and eating about where you're eating. And that's kind of it. I mean, when you're older, you're going to have to up it a little bit or reduce it a bit in some way. But, age has an effect on that kind of thing. But in general, you have a lot of control over your body because it happens so gradually, these changes. And for damn sure, if you're someone who works out like once a week, there's no way in hell you're getting bulky. You're not getting anything at that point, honestly. And this is also interesting for a lot of beginners and women who are overweight and they're saying, I just want to lose weight. I don't want to get too bulky. Motherfucker, you are already bulky. By the way, Muscle is denser than fat, which means that you can weigh the same. Like, let's say you're 180 pounds and you're fat, and let's say you're 180 pounds and you have a lot of lean muscle mass on you. Same way, the guy with lean muscle mass is going to be a lot leaner, of course, thinner, smaller. Same height too, by the way. So if you're overweight, you have a lot of excess body fat, then you are bulky. But by gaining muscle slowly, you're not going to get fucking bulky, or rather too bulky anyway. And here's the awesome thing. If you understand this, that doing resistance training is nothing to be afraid of, that you're not going to accidentally become super fucking strong and thick and juicy, you can actually exercise less. Because depending on your goal, of course, if you're doing, let's say, an hour of cardio every single time, or 2 hours of cardio for some people every day or whatever it is, you switch over to more intentional resistance training, you can exercise a lot less and probably, for your goal, depending on what it is, be a lot more effective, a lot more efficient. So if you understand that you cannot accidentally get bulky, you will save a lot of time. Now, here's something I didn't know in these notes I generated for this. There are some people out there who start resistance training and they apparently quit because they notice like the pump from exercising or the excess water weight they're keeping on due to whatever reason. And they think, oh my God, I'm getting too big, and then quit. I didn't know those people existed, but I guess that makes sense. And like I was mentioning earlier, when you start, I didn't know it happened this early, but cool. When you get over the age of 30, you start very slowly losing muscle mass. So that means after 30, if you just don't exercise, because you're scared of getting bulky, you're going to become weaker. Your metabolism is going to lower a bit. And you're going to have a higher risk of breaking yourself. Because here's something that most people don't fucking understand. Muscle is organic armor. That means if someone who's just skin and bones falls the fuck over, they might actually break something. If someone who has some muscle on them falls over, they might bounce. This happened to me before. Because I used to be very, very fat, and because I, squat and stuff, my thighs are pretty thick. So there have been times where I like bump into a table very hard. It's like, okay. That was quite a bump. And I was thinking to myself, every time this happens, man, if I didn't have any muscle, that would have really, really fucking harmed me, I think. That was rough. But I have armor on me. This is also helpful when I do my handstand practice. If I do fall over, I'm good. I have a lot of padding when I fall over. It's awesome. And here's a big kicker as well. There are a lot of people who fall for, let's say it again, toning. Thinking, oh yeah, I'm not going to exercise to get bulky. I'm going to exercise to tone. Which I'll explain again, because that makes no fucking sense. You cannot tone as a verb. You can be toned by having muscle mass and then having a low enough body fat for that muscle mass to be noticeable. So to say, I'm just going to tone, not bulk up, that's fucking stupid in terms of exercise. So if you're doing, certain exercises are super easy and you're doing like, 40 reps because you want to tone or whatever it is, you're probably wasting a lot of time, to be honest. You're not really going to get where you're going to get to, and you're spending a lot of time doing jack shit. Let's talk about the devil's advocate. All right, that fucking idiot. I just want to be lean and toned, not look like a bodybuilder. Cool. On the way to doing literally any kind of resistance training, you will become more lean and become more toned, okay? You cannot just become a bodybuilder. Whoopsies. I'm competing. That's not how it works. But I understand why you might think that, because everything you see online is people bodybuilding, doing fucking curls, roided out fuckers. I understand why you might think that, but let me assure you that exercise does not equal bodybuilding. You could do many things. I do heavily, heavily recommend resistance training, though. That can be any number of things. Just as long as it's fucking hard for you, then it's basically resistance training. Next devil. I gained muscle really fast for a few weeks. What if I keep going? You're talking about newbie gains, and that's because your body has been doing jack shit before, and now it's doing something. So it's going to seem really fast right now, but later on it's going to be very slow. And again, regardless, you can stop whenever you want. Actually, it's very easy to stop. So chill out. Women who lift get manly arms and shoulders. Which men are you talking about? I go to the supermarket and I see men with very, I don't know, different arms and shoulders these days. I don't know which men you're talking about, but I call that strong, capable, maybe arms. You may be saying. I don't know if it's related to men necessarily. See a lot of men and women, men and women who have different shaped arms. I like to say strong instead of manly, personally, but whatever. My clothes fit tighter after I started lifting, so I must be getting bulky. Well, I mean, I can't really argue against that one, can I? You're getting bigger, I guess. But then again, if you put your clothes on right after you exercised, you're also dealing with the pump, all the blood rushing through you because of all the activity. So yeah, they'll be a bit tighter anyway, which most people like, but whatever. I wouldn't say you're getting bulky unless you feel like that all the time. And even then, you might not be bulky. It's just your muscles just more prominent at that point. You don't have to be a bodybuilder to be in fitting clothing. I see muscular women on Instagram and don't want to look like that. Don't worry, you fucking won't with that attitude. That requires a lot of work. It's more work for women than it does for men. There are dads out there who just do fucking chores and can look decently strong. Women have to actually try a lot more to look visibly muscular. So don't fucking worry about it. If you become muscular, you were trying to do that. So don't worry about it. I'm afraid I'll lose my feminine, athletic, lean look if I lift heavy. Okay, let me tell you something. You probably already know this. I'm an online weight loss coach and I use Instagram. I see other coaches out there, right? The women with the most fucking thirsty ass comments are the ones who are muscular. Not bodybuilder level. It's just they have muscle, period. Because here's the thing, when you have muscle as a man or a woman, your body is shaped more pleasingly, I guess. A muscular man and a muscular woman, they're going to be shaped a bit differently anyway. And the way that a muscular, quote unquote, muscular woman turns out when they're wearing clothing, it's very, very pleasing to most people based on all the fucking cringe ass comments I see. And that's, I can't think of a more feminine experience than having dudes fucking drool over you. What are you actually worried about? I don't understand this fucking, this devil shit. I'll lose my femininity if I lift if you look better. What are you talking about? That's strange. If you lose your athletic look, I think athletic people look like they have muscularity to them. So that's weird. If I'll lose my lean look, again, I don't know who the fuck would be saying something like this. And to prove my point, go look at these muscular women on Instagram, these coaches, whatever. Look for pictures with them with like clothing on, and you'd be like, oh, okay, that looks much different than I imagined it was. Most women will be like, wow, I want to look like that in clothing. Well, to look like that, you're going to have to look kind of close to what they look like with less clothing. And no, not bodybuilder level, just having any muscle. A lot of people confuse, body states. They think, oh, if you're thin, you're anorexic. They think being strong or fit or lean means you got to look like a humongous bodybuilder. People have no fucking sense of anything. Okay, this is dragging on. Let me get into some stats over here. Some numbers. The average woman, this should put you at ease. Average woman. There is 15 to 20 times less testosterone in the average woman than there is in the average man. So, if you think you touch a weight and you become bulky very quickly with that big of a handicap, you're insane. In some studies, and this one is kind of negative, if I were a woman, I'd be like, damn, this sucks. It's in studies, women who participated in resistance training for 6 months, gained an average of like 1 to 2 pounds of muscle. Now, that doesn't mean working out is useless. It's just that it's going to be slower and take longer because you're a woman. Now, in those 6 months too, you're also likely your body composition is going to change a bit, so there'll be less body fat on you. So you're going to look a lot more appealing to yourself than the 1 to 2 pounds of muscle gains would imagine. You would imagine after that. So don't fret. And by the way, to gain muscle, you need calories to do that. So if you're constantly at a humongous deficit, it's going to be kind of hard to gain a lot of muscle. So a lot of women out there, they're thinking, I want to lose weight. I don't want to be bulky. And then they just don't accomplish either because they're starving themselves in a way that causes them to binge eat later and blah, blah, blah. You know how it goes. And by the way, if you resistance train, your resting energy burn rate goes up. It can go up to like 7%. So that helps as a whole with your body burning calories with you just existing, which helps you lose body fat, excess body fat. After the age of 30, this is a tragic stat. Adults lose 3 to 8% of their muscle mass per decade if they do not strength train, which means your body is going to get weaker and less efficient over time if you don't train it. So you better get rid of that bulky fear real quick. Only in the United States, only 13% of women regularly engage in strength training, despite how fucking amazing it is for everything you could possibly want in your health, which makes sense. Although at the gym, I see a lot of women there. I mean, a lot of them are doing not quite efficient things, so I don't know. In a survey, this one sucks. 2/3 of women say they avoid lifting heavy weights due to fear of getting too muscular. Yet, less than 5% of women report ever feeling like they're actually too bulky after getting on a regular strength program. So, according to other women, this fear is unfounded. And like I mentioned before, muscle is denser than fat. So even if you were to gain a bunch of muscle, you're not going to appear bulkier. You're going to appear leaner and firmer and better, probably. So if you don't want to get too bulky, what you really need to do is lose the excess body fat. And by the way, if you care about aging well, resistance training reduces the risk of osteoporosis by 40% and can about halve the risk of age-related disability. So strength training helps you age better. Wow. Who knew? So here's the thing. You can't accidentally get bulky, just like you can't accidentally hack a government by touching a laptop. Touch those weights, or if you're not ready for that, just get the basic body weight stuff going. Because I know most women, maybe most people at this point, but definitely most women can't do a single push-up. So work towards that, work towards pull-ups, work towards squats and lunges and stuff like that. That is resistance training. You don't even need to touch weights yet for resistance training. I hear this from some women, my girlfriend included, like, oh, yeah, I need to go to the gym to exercise. I'm like, first of all, we have weights at home. Secondly, you don't even need to touch those, because the way that you are right now, you can accomplish a lot for your body if you just do push-ups and even try to do pull-ups, just some rowing, some air, like a bunch of air squats with a little weight, if anything. It's really easy for beginners and women to just start resistance training. You need very little to give yourself a challenge. And for you to advance and require more of a challenge, it's still going to take a while. So you shouldn't worry about the end goal. You shouldn't worry about step 24. You're not even at step 2. Just start doing something. It's going to be slow. It's going to be controlled. You're going to be in 100% control of how you will end up. So if you're not a fan of what's going on, stop. You're not going to go, boop, oops, I gained 10 pounds of muscle. No. You're going to be able to stop way before you're uncomfortable. I promise you that. And if you ever do feel, big, thick, whatever after exercising, you probably have temporary water weight going on, or, the blood rushing through you is giving you a pump. Calm down, check yourself later or in the morning, whatever. And by the way, for extra proof, take pictures every, 2, 4, 6 weeks, whatever you want. And then compare yourself. Am I getting bulky? No, spoiler, but you can check yourself. And don't fall for toning stuff. Again, toning just means having some muscle that's visible because there's a low enough body fat percentage. Remember that. Don't fall for, I'm going to fucking tone, baby. No, stop. In fact, everyone who thinks, I don't want to do this because I might get bulky, you should actually do that thing, because you won't get bulky in the process. Like literally squat, deadlift, do some kind of pressing, whatever. Do that shit. You will get way closer to your goal, and you'll be able to see the progress far, far beyond you get to the point of too much. So yeah, if you honestly don't want to be bulky, just lose weight. Lose excess body fat. That is the real tip here. All right, hope you make it. And next episode is actually going to be the anniversary of me doing this podcast. And directly the day after that episode comes out, I'm going to fucking Japan. But I record ahead of time, so you're still going to get some shit. I'm a fucking workhorse, bitch. That's why I haven't missed a fucking week. You get 53 fucking episodes because I'm not a fucking quitter. Fuck you. You're going to get shit while I'm on vacation. While I'm on vacation, you're going to get shit. You're welcome. Anyway, leave a comment if you've been here since the beginning. I'd be curious to know. I'll give you a hearty thank you and a nice handshake in the comments, if possible. All right, see you next time.